All right, so this is the first week of our first day of our EOC practice. And this one has to do with exponents. Now, I just copied this off of Alex, and if this is yours, you have these questions. I'm not answering these questions, but I'm going to answer some that are just like them. So if I change this to, say, a negative 6w times a negative 3w to the fourth power, which is very similar, I am going to multiply what I can, because that's what this is. It's multiplication. So that's a positive at 18. And what do you do with your exponents? When you are multiplying them like this, you would just add them together. There's 1 here, so that would make that a total of 5. And you could always think of this as a negative 6w times a negative 3, and then w, 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 w. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a way to do that as well. If you wanted to expand it, if you don't remember the rules, expand it. Next, this is a little bit different. So if I have stuck on my w's, and I make this to the third power, I'm going to distribute. This is different. It's on the outside, so I'm going to distribute. So 2 to the third, w to the third. Now, sometimes they'll want you to solve that. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So that would end up equaling 8w to the third. What that looks like expanded is 2w times 2w times 2w. So you can always do it in expanded version. Next, this is when you're dealing with negative exponents. So if I had w to the negative 2 times w to the negative 6, again, I'm going to multiply those to get w to the negative. So when you're multiplying, I'm going to add these two together, negative 8. But they don't like a negative exponent. So a negative exponent really means, if scientific notation means, you would move your decimal point over that way 8 times. And that would be a decimal or a fraction. So to make that as a fraction, you would write it like this. If you have a negative, for example, if I ended up with a negative on top, let's do it like, well, I'll just do a whole thing like that. You'd almost have to flip-flop that. So you cannot have a negative. It would have to go to the bottom, and this one would have to go to the top. This one, you're going to simplify what you can. So if you can, let's do 35w to the 8th over, let's go 15w to the 3rd. I'm going to simplify that. And to simplify that, all I'm going to do is go 35, ABC, 15. And it's going to say 2 1/3, but I don't need it to look like that. I need it to look like a fraction, an improper fraction. So I'm going to hit that second key again, hit this key again, and get 7/3. So I end up with 7/3. And this time I'm going to subtract my exponents. So what's 8 minus 3? W to the 5th. If it's positive, it'll go on top. If it's negative, it would go on bottom. So let's say it was negative. Let's say I did the same thing, and I'm going to flip-flop these. I would get 7/3, and since 3 minus 8 is negative 5, I would go 3w to the 5th on the bottom, w to the 5th power. Okay, this one's no different. You're just subtracting them. So if I said w to the 2nd, x to the 4th, over w to the 5th, and x to the 9th, that'll be fine. I'm just going to subtract those. What is 2 minus 5? Negative 3. So it's going to go to the bottom is 3. What's 4 minus 9? 5. Negative 5. So it's going to stay on the bottom. I don't have anything on top, so I'm going to throw a 1 there. If I wanted to expand this, Ooh, wow, that's a lot of, I think I got it. Okay, 1, 2, cancel out. 1, 2, cancel out. I'm left with 3 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 cancels out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 left over on bottom. So you can always expand those. On this next problem, okay, 2 things you can do. You can say 64 caret key for an exponent, 1 ABC3. Or this really means cubed. What is the cubed root of 64? And so to use that in your calculator, I just want to make sure you understand this, 64, the caret key gives you anything more than squared. This is squared and squared root. This is the other one you kind of get confused with. So this, 1, ABC3, I get the answer of 4. The other way is to hit cubed root first, and then this caret key, and put this 64, and you'll still get 4. Okay. This one's no different. It's just 16 to the 1/4 power, or the 4th root of 16. And you should do those in your calculator super easily. Hopefully you can see those. I know the sunshine is, hopefully you saw my calculator. All right. Here, you're going to make a table. This f of x thing confuses you, so think of it as y equals. So I want you to make an xy table or use Desmos. But what you're doing is you're substituting values here. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter which ones. So basically you're going 5/8 to the 1st power, 5/8 to the 2nd power, 5/8 to the 3rd power. Substituting these values where that x goes and getting your y answer. That's where your answers go. And then, of course, you're going to be graphing those. On Alex, you've got a place that you can graph the actual fractions that they give you or the decimal. I know on Desmos it's hard to read sometimes when they have decimals, so I always suggest you know how to do this. Always making a table. This right here is a formula. So we're talking about anything that's growing. So if it was growing, you have this formula of your amount, they call that your principal, times 1. If you're increasing, you're going to say plus. If you're decreasing, you're going to say minus. And I know this is on, I'm just trying to see if this is on your sheet here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Right here. Okay, so this is your cheat sheet that you're going to get, your reference sheet, and we're going to go over this here. And so you can kind of memorize that this would be increase, anytime you're in increase. If you're decreasing, that would just be a minus. That would be the difference. Okay. Okay, so this one's an increase. And so it is the amount, 1 plus, and then you're going to, in your calculator, you're actually going to use the 7%. The rate is your 7%. Divided on how many times? This is annually, so by 1. And then your number of years, how many years? 8 years would be your exponent. And you just punch that into your calculator. Okay, so 18, 1 plus, make sure you're using your 7% key, divided by 1. Don't make this a fraction, it won't take it, so make it. Anytime your calculator doesn't take a fraction, you use the division key. Make sure you have this in parentheses and you'll get the correct answer. This one's a little different because it says compounded semi-annually. There's 2 things that you need to do with that. If it's compounding annually, you need it, semi-annually is twice a year. So what's changing? You have your 8,000. It's increasing. So 1 plus 17%. This time you're going to divide it by 2 here. And then this changes to 2 times how many years? So that's 3. So my caret key would be 6. So on here, you will see that N stands for the number of times a year, and you can see that N, number of times a year, T. Remember, semi-annually is 2, quarterly is 4. Okay. This next one, a geometric sequence, you can't see it, there it is. Okay, so what you're trying to find is from here to here to here. I'm multiplying by a certain amount. So let's say I said, let's say 2, 6, 18, sorry, 54. Okay. So what's my pattern? 2 to 6, am I adding 4? No. 2 to 6, I know I can multiply by 3. Oh yeah, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So my geometric sequence says I am multiplying by 3. Now, again, we did this a while back. It is a geometric sequence because it's multiplying. And here is the formula right here. So G, my geometric sequence, is my G, my first term, times that rate. So my first term, 2, in this case it's 2, first term, times that 3, and then it's in the 10th minus 1. And that will give you your answer. So this is this, this is this, this is this. Okay, that should get you through. You're going to have an Alex assignment, and then you're going to have a quizzes. I know it's like double the work. The quizzes, I want it to be fast and furious. They're going to be quick, so there's nothing that you're really just going to have to think about. I want it to be automatic. It's quick 10 questions. This is going to help you when you see these questions on on your EOC, that they're going to go quick. You know these answers. Until next time.